Hello class, welcome to week 4, day 1 expectations, as well as going over the close reading for today. What we're going to be looking at today is doing a close reading that begins on page 57 and ends on page 60 of the PDF. We're going to begin looking at cells. Again, a close reading is underlining or highlighting important information within a single paragraph, and then making sure to write down a question or a way that you related or connected to that material. So just asking questions, making sure that you're engaged. This should feel like work. It's not just simply reading, it's showing me that you're engaged with the reading. After that, you're going to write a paragraph that explains the difference between a plant cell and an animal cell. All you have to do is define what a plant cell is and say that it's different than an animal cell, and then define what an animal cell is. After that, you're going to explain the difference between an organ and a tissue. Again, if you define these, that'll tell me you know the differences between them. Or you know that they are different, and then you can explain how they're different. After that, I would like you to complete any math homework from Miss Moore, review and practice movements from mystery class. Again, I sent out a document a few weeks ago explaining a few movements of mystery class. If you need that document again, please email me. And then make sure that you guys are moving today, getting outside. The weather is supposed to be better this week, depending on where you're living, but you guys should be good. Go on a walk, go on a run, something like that. But yeah, stay safe. So yeah, those are the expectations for today. Again, it's a close reading, writing a paragraph about the difference between a plant and animal cell, writing a paragraph between an organ and the difference between an organ and a tissue. All right, let's quickly do the close reading. Cells. In the realm of science, whether or not something is living can be determined by the way it responds to changes in its environment. To respond means a change as a reaction to something. For example, you respond to being cold by getting goose pimples, or by putting on a jacket or coat. Sunlight at dawn awakens you in the morning. If you touch a hot stove, you quickly pull your hand away from it. These are ways that you respond to your environment. All living things respond to changes around them. What are living organisms made of? Scientists have been asking this question for a long time. In order to answer it, a way to closely examine organisms was needed. Scientists still use microscopes to look closely at very small organisms that cannot be seen without the eyes alone, or with the eyes alone. We have learned a great deal since the 16th century when we started using microscopes, and we continue to learn more as microscopes get stronger and new puzzles arise from what we can see. Pretty cool. The cell is a remarkable basic structure found in all living things, from the tiniest bacteria to the largest redwood tree or blue whale. The human body is made up of trillions of cells. Cells must be microscopic in order to function properly, so large creatures do not have bigger cells. They just have greater numbers of cells. With the aid of a microscope, some cells look like tiny cubes, others are long and thin, some look like balls or rods, some are shaped like kites or tadpoles. Some cells have no fixed shape at all and act like blobs of jelly. Organisms can consist of one cell or many cells. A one-cell organism carries out all the life activities within the one cell. Bacteria and protozoa are examples of two different types of one-celled organisms. One-celled organisms are the most simple living things. Most plants and animals are made up of many cells joined together. Paramecium is one type of single-celled organism. In a many-celled organism, cells vary in shape and in function. Different types of cells carry out different functions or jobs for the benefit of the organism as a whole. Most of the cells of a many-celled organism are specialized, which means that in addition to basic life activities, they have special functions. Yet, all the different cells in an organism depend on each other to stay alive. All the cells work together interdependently to perform the life activities of the whole organism. Cells reproduce by dividing into two, more on this in lesson 12. By doing so, the organism grows. Your body, for instance, is made up of 100 trillion cells, but each of us begin life as a single cell. That cell divided and grew, divided again, and divided again. Children grow because their cells are constantly dividing. We still have many questions about cells. Cell structure and function. Every plant and animal cell has three main structures: the nucleus, the cell membrane, and the cytoplasm. The only exception are bacteria cells, which have no organized nucleus. The nucleus, which is usually round or egg-shaped, is located near the center of the cell. and controls all the life functions of the cell, including cell reproduction. The nucleus has its own membrane which separates it from the cytoplasm. The cell membrane surrounds the cell and controls the movement of materials into and out of the cell. The cytoplasm consists of all the material in the cell between the cell membrane and the nucleus and includes various cell parts called organelles. Mitochondria, which produce energy for the cell from food, and chloroplasts are two examples of organelles. Both plant and animal cells contain mitochondria, but only plant cells contain chloroplasts. Chloroplast captures energy from the sun and transfers it into food for the plant in a process called photosynthesis. We learned about this in 5th grade. Another type of organelle is the endoplasmic reticulum, which acts as a highway system for the transportation of substances within the cell. There are two types of endoplasmic reticulum, smooth and rough. Another cell structure is the Golgi apparatus, which packages and distributes material in the cell. Single cells function much like large, many-celled organisms. In each cell are parts almost like all those that a whole organism needs. The nucleus acts as a control center and holds all essential information, similar to the function of a brain. Cells have a protective covering, just like plants and animals. As stated before, animal cells have a cell membrane, which is a flexible like skin. Plant cells also have a cell membrane, which is surrounded by a cell wall, which is stiff and provides support. Animal cells have no cell wall. See diagrams on previous 2 pages. So yeah, we're looking at the differences between an animal cell, which is typically round, and a plant cell, which is highly structured. This is how you get wood and stuff like that. And then here we have another cross-section of itself. Structure and support in animals is provided by either internal bone structure or a hard outer skeleton, as in, for example, beetles and lobsters. Similar to the way in which our internal skeleton gives us shape and helps keep organs in the right place, individual cells make microscopic tubes and chains to keep the shape and their tiny machinery in place. Cells need to take in new raw materials just as we eat food, and cells eliminate waste and toxins just as we must. Along with their different sizes and shapes, different types of cells perform various functions. The size and shape is influenced by the job they do. Plant cells have large spaces called vacuoles in which water, waste, and nutrients are stored. This helps the plant stay upright. Plants wilt when their vacuoles are drained. The cell wall of a plant is made of cellulose, which is a non-living material that protects the cell and gives it shape. Wood is made up almost totally of cellulose. Only plant cells contain cellulose. Animal cells do not contain any cellulose at all. Describe the differences between a plant cell and an animal cell. This is one of the tasks that I'm having you guys do for the day. Groups of cells that are joined together work together like a team to do a particular job. A tissue is a group of cells that look similar and work together. Tissues are named for the jobs they do. In an animal, for instance, muscles, skin, bones, blood, and nerves are different types of tissues, each of which is made up of different types of cells that work together to perform a particular function in the organism. Tissues work together in much the same way that cells do. When tissues work together to do a particular job, the combination of tissues is called an organ. Your lungs, brain, eyes, and heart are all organs. Each organ has many different types of tissues working together to keep you alive. Your tissues work together to form organs, which also work together to form a complete organism. If they didn't work together, you would not be able to function normally. What is the difference between an organ and a tissue? Give at least 3 examples of each and guess which organs contain which tissues. So yeah, that is the end of our close reading. Again, I'm looking for you to tell me the difference between an organ and a tissue, and tell me the difference between a plant cell and an animal cell. A lot of great information in here. I hope you guys are safe, hope you guys are happy, are moving each day, and I miss you guys, and I hope you guys are doing well. See you tomorrow. Bye.